Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Martial Universe Season 9 Part 17 based on novel. So let's start. The next day, when sunlight sprinkled down onto the island, wind sounds were already filling the sky. Countless figures swarmed across the horizon like locusts, before finally heading towards the summit of the most majestic mountain at the center of the island. Currently, the defenses of the originally sealed mountaintop had already been removed. Hence, the great multitude of figures were able to smoothly land on the mountaintop. The great black sea of people stretched as far as the eye could see. The summit of the mountain was extremely vast. Everyone's gazes were focused on the area under the shade of the trees, where a several thousand feet wide limestone plaza was located. At the end of the plaza was a 1,000 feet tall limestone tower. The tower faintly gave off an aura of ancientness and desolation. It washed across this land, causing one to feel as if one had returned to ancient times. Is that the chaotic tower? Somewhat fiery gazes shot towards the limestone tower one by one. Evidently, none of the people here unfamiliar with the stone tower that was jointly protected by the 5 great clans. It was said that the desolation chi within this chaotic tower was enormously beneficial towards physical body cultivation. If one was able to enter and absorb the chi while cultivating, it would definitely greatly increase one's strength. I wonder which clan will obtain the chaotic tower quotas this year. Some of the gazes that swept across the tower turned somewhat grave as they paused at the bottom of the tower. A handsome man wearing grey clothes was seated there. His eyes were tightly shut like a meditating old monk, and it seemed as if he could not sense the countless gazes that had gathered on him. Shintuj. Soft gasps echoed across the mountain top. Several experts looked at this handsome and elegant man as they secretly smacked their lips. Many of those who were seeing Shintuj for the first time felt a rather great feeling of contrast. After all, the disparity between latter's elegant appearance and his Azura title was a little too great. However, to those that knew of Shintuj's nature, such a feeling of contrast did not exist. Only they understood the proud cruelness and viciousness of this elegant-looking man. The members of the 5 great clans had gathered around the plaza. From the looks of it, the battle today was extremely important to everyone, especially the Shintuj clan. Although they were very confident in Shintuj, Lindong's performance yesterday had caused them to become rather fearful. If the latter's miracles continued today, their Shintuj clan would lose the chaotic tower quotas. That Lindong has arrived. While the numerous gazes intersected with each other, a voice suddenly sounded from the back of the crowd. Wind sounds rang out, as several figures flew over from far away, before finally slowly descending onto the limestone plaza. 3 people had arrived. Leading them was naturally Lindong, while Ji Mengqi and Ji Yang followed behind. The moment Lindong landed, his gaze was immediately cast towards the grey-clothed man seated before the stone tower, as his eyes hardened. When Lindong's gaze was cast towards Shintuj, the latter seemed to have noticed, as his impassive and handsome face gently trembled for a moment. Subsequently, his tightly shut eyes slowly opened. When his tightly shut eyes opened, the natural Yuan power before him suddenly rippled. Shintuj stared at Lindong. On that handsome face, the corners of his mouth gently lifted. Boom! As this arc formed, Shintuj's handsome face gained a trace of deadly sharpness, while a ferocious aura quietly spread outwards. You've finally come, Shintuj stared at Lindong, as he gently smiled and said. Lindong's eyes were glued to Shintuj's body. The boundless Yuan power surrounding the latter's body caused his eyes to become increasingly grave. Such an presence was indeed the advanced profound life stage. Truly formidable, Lindong softly exclaimed in his heart. Looks like this Shintuj did indeed possess the ability that had caused the geniuses from the other 4 clans to fear him in such a manner. Lindong softly sighed in his heart. Soon after, his heart gently trembled, as his gaze shifted from Shintuj's body to the giant 1,000 feet tall tower behind him. An ancient aura rippled from the tower. This aura was exactly the same as the desolation bead given to him by Ji Yang some time ago. So this is the chaotic tower. An extremely fiery aura climbed out from the depths of Lindong's eyes. Soon after, he licked his lips. At this very moment, he could feel the mysterious stone talisman deep in his body emit a buzzing noise. An extremely clear desire was being given off by the stone talisman. This desire was even stronger than the time with the desolation bead. Lindong deeply exhaled, while using his mind to suppress the stone talisman's activity. A great battle was imminent, and it would truly be a headache if this mysterious stone talisman was to cause a disturbance. Fortunately, the mysterious stone talisman was after all no ordinary object. It similarly sensed Lindong's current state. Thus, its activity only lasted for a while, before quietly weakening. However, its desire did not diminish at all. "Don't worry, we will definitely go in." Lindong gently rubbed his chest, as he softly said in his heart. As his voice faded, the stone talisman also turned completely silent. From the looks of it, it seemed to have heard Lindong's words. As he felt the disturbance within his body die down, Lindong's taunt body gradually relaxed. However, the gaze with which he looked at the chaotic tower grew increasingly fiery. After so many years, this was the first time he had seen such desire from the mysterious stone talisman. Looks like this chaotic tower would be extremely beneficial towards its recovery. Thus, he definitely needed to enter this chaotic tower. "Lindong, that is Shintuj," Ji Mengqi softly said from beside him. When she looked towards the handsome and elegant man in the distance, unconcealable graveness and worry appeared on her face. There was no one who did not fear this Azura amongst the younger generation of the other four great clans. "Both of you should withdraw first." Lindong slightly nodded as he replied. "We'll be counting on you," Ji Yang softly said. This was already the last battle, and this battle would determine who the chaotic tower quotas would belong to. As her voice faded, she exchanged a look with Ji Mengqi, before they both withdrew to the Ji clan seats outside the plaza. This Ji clan. Where did they find this external helper, to think that he would be so difficult to deal with? At the front of the plaza were the Shintuj clan seats. Seated at the front were two white-haired elders. One of them was Shintuj Dao, whom Lindong had seen yesterday, while the other was an extremely high-ranking elder within the Shintuj clan. His name was Shintuj Mo, and he was similarly rather powerful. Currently, these two elders' eyes were slightly narrowed as they gazed at Lindong, who was within the plaza. Their expression were a little solemn, and it was likely that they understood how hard the latter was to deal with. "Do not worry, elders, with Big Brother Shintuj around, besides the two from the Universe Cave and the Demonic Wind Cave, none of the younger generation in the Heaven Wind Sea region is his match." When the two elders' words faded, a woman in black spoke out from the side. The woman was dressed entirely in black. She was gorgeous and tall, and her name was Shintuj Rome. She was rather famous amongst the younger generation of the Shintuj clan. Currently, she was looking at Lindong with some disdain. It was likely that her confidence in Shintuj had reached an incomprehensible level. Perhaps, in her eyes, the Lindong who had fought many battles to appear here was merely someone who was blessed with a little luck and had struggled desperately to reach this place. As the saying goes, a lion will go all out to capture a rabbit. There are so many capable individuals in this world. If you continue to be so arrogant, you'll definitely encounter trouble sooner or later. However, in response to her disdain, Shintuj Dao's expression darkened as he chided. Shintuj Rome frowned slightly, but she did not dare to speak any further. However, her eyes did not change much. Upon seeing this, Shintuj Dao sighed in a somewhat helpless manner. Currently, the younger generation of the Shintuj clan were all brimming with haughtiness due to Shintuju's existence. This was not good at all. Lindong did not hear their argument. Currently, the only thing in his eyes was the grey-cloaked figure seated before the stone tower. The majestic undulations from the latter's body caused Lindong's skin to feel a little cold. This Shintuj was going to be a truly worthy opponent. A ball of white chi was slowly spit out from Lindong's mouth. As he spat it out, Lindong's eyes gradually turned serious. He. I finally met a worthy opponent, however, I still need to tell you something. While Lindong's eyes turned serious, Shintuj slowly stood up. As he stood up, everyone felt a monstrously ferocious aura suddenly unfurl from within his body like a storm. The current Shintuj was like an Azura that had crawled out from the abyss. His handsome face gave off a sinister and formidable feeling that made one's heart and soul tremble. Shintuj lifted his head and grinned at a Lindong. This path is impassable. This path is impassable. When this statement that was brimming with a tyrannical aura emerged from Shintuj's mouth, everyone could feel that the atmosphere in the square seemed to suddenly frozen. Within the square, the two young figures raised their heads and looked at each other as cold light overflowed between them. Anyone could tell that the two in the square were both very formidable individuals. If it's impassable, Lindong's slender hands gently clenched into fists. Staring at Shintuj, he spoke out in a soft voice. Then I'll just make a path. The moment his final word rang out, green light erupted abruptly from within Lindong's pitch-black pupils, as he took a step forward. The yuan power within his body gushed out without reservation, while his clothes started to flutter as green light circulated beneath his skin. Ha ha, make a path? People often say that I, Shintuj, am arrogant and wild. Looks like I've finally met someone who is more overbearing than myself today. Shintuj laughed heartily, as the fiendish aura on that delicate and handsome face intensified. Subsequently, his hands slowly extended from his sleeves. Lindong's gaze hardened slightly when Shintuj extended his hands out. The latter's hands were much longer than ordinary people. From afar, they looked like 10 slender daggers. In addition, grey light faintly flashed across their surface, as extremely sharp fluctuations quietly radiated out. I do like your overbearing manner. However, I'm afraid that you'll be unable to afford the price of my liking. Shintuj grinned, revealing a sinisterly white set of teeth. In the next instant, his body suddenly leaned forward as he shot out like a cheetah hunting its prey. Shintuj's figure was like galloping thunder. In a flash, numerous after-images appeared, as his figure seemed to transform into a ray of light. Carrying along a baleful aura that blotted the sky, he headed straight for Lindong. So fast. Lindong's eyes slightly shivered, as he stared at the ray of light that was rapidly expanding in his eyes. Shintuj's movements revealed his tyrannical strength that exceeded that of Wei Zhen and Chen Luo. Even Lindong could only sense this speed by using his mental energy perception abilities. Lindong took a step to the side, as his body similarly tilted at an angle. Bang bang bang. Just as Lindong's body leaned to a side, the air in front of him abruptly exploded. Shintuj's fingers, that were akin to daggers that had been sharpened to the extreme, pierced through the air while carrying a strange grey glow as they stabbed explosively towards Lindong's throat. Shintuj's attack was both vicious and crafty. Obviously, he was also someone who had already experienced hundreds of battles. The glowing grey fingers were swift and fierce, and rapidly grew larger within Lindong's eyes. However, just as the grey glow was about to pierce Lindong's throat, green light gathered in front of his throat, transforming into a green dragon scale that sparkled with green light. At the moment of contact, metallic sound rang out, as sparks flew. A ring-shaped force, that was visible to the naked eye, rippled outwards from the green dragon scale. Interesting. Shintuj grinned a little when he saw the solid dragon scale that had been created by Lindong. Soon after, his gaze instantly turned cold. My Azura finger spear art isn't that easy to block. As Shintuj's voice rang out, grey light suddenly sparkled on the two fingers in contact with the green dragon scale. Upon seeing this, Lindong's eyes contracted a little. Unease erupted within his heart, as his figure rapidly retreated. The moment Lindong backed away, Shintuj's two fingers thrust like a spear. With a popping sound, the green dragon scale was pierced. Subsequently, two extremely deadly forces caught up to Lindong at lightning speed, before landing on his shoulders. Rip! The clothes on Lindong's shoulders were ripped apart, as two bloody holes appeared. A trace of fresh blood trickled down from them, causing the clothing on Lindong's chest to turn red. The exchange in the square had practically happened in a flash. However, everyone could see that injuries had appeared on Lindong, who had astonished everyone yesterday with his great abilities, causing the crowd to break out into an uproar. Truly worthy of the name Iron Azura Shintuj. He's able to injure Lindong with a single move. Truly formidable. Looks like this brat's journey will end here. Such a pity. At the GU clan seats, the faces of GU Mengqi, GU Yang and the rest changed slightly at this instant. In yesterday's battles, Lindong had always held the advantage, even against the Weijian trio. Yet, he had suffered injuries right after the start of his battle against Shintuj. Was Shintuj really so powerful? I've said before that this fellow is definitely not Big Brother Shintuj's match. Upon seeing this spectacle, Shintuj could not help but exclaim with glee. What's there to be happy about? That Lindong has not only avoided the fatal attack, but his physical body is similarly extremely tyrannical. Shintuj's attack only managed to cause some insignificant injuries to him. Shintuj coldly shouted. Shintuj gawked, however, she was clearly still somewhat doubtful as she mumbled, Big Brother Shintuj's Azura finger spear art can even pierce the body of an initial profound life stage expert. That Lindong is no ordinary individual. His physical body likely does not lose out to Shintuj's Azura body. In addition, this person is similarly decisive when he attacks. It is evident that he has also similarly been tempered by bloody battles where his life had been truly at stake. No wonder he could challenge the Azura method. The true fight begins now. The other elder of the Shintuj clan also nodded his head slowly. He stared at the thin figure in the distance with a gaze that was filled with some graveness. He was clearly aware of the enormous price that Shintuj had paid in order to train the Azura body to this level. However, this Lindong was unexpectedly able to match the former in this aspect. Shintuj's mouth twitched. Although she still had some doubt in her heart, the words of the two elders still had some weight after all. Looking at the figure in the distance, she muttered, no matter what, he'll never be able to beat Big Brother Shintuj. Ha ha, such a strong body. Within the square, Shintuj smiled as he looked towards Lindong in the distance. However, his eyes had faintly narrowed. He knew how deadly his finger strength was. If they were to land on Wei Zhen's body, the latter's combat capabilities would immediately drop by half. Yet, the scene before his eyes. Such strong finger strength. Lindong's hand gently rubbed away the bloodstains on his shoulders, before he started to smile. However, that smile was exceptionally cold and fierce. Other than the time that he had crossed hands with Yuan Kang, this was the second time he had suffered injury so quickly in a match with a person from the same generation as himself. This Shintuj was indeed formidable. He was truly a class above those like Wei Zhen and Chen Luo. Looks like I've really underestimated you a little. Since this is the case, I've make sure not to give you too many chances. When I fight with others, it seems to be better to end the battle as quickly as possible. Shintuj loosened his shoulders. His hand seal changed, as a low and deep roar suddenly rang out, Azura body. Bang! As his voice rang out, monstrous grey light suddenly erupted and swept out from Shintuj's body. Within the grey light, his body inflated in size as the surface of his skin seemed to be infused with a jet-black luster akin to tungsten. As the light flickered, it was pervaded by an indescribable feeling of tyranny, while strange patterns started to extend on the surface of his skin. As Shintuj's body changed, the grey light behind him transformed into a gigantic grey figure holding a trident. From a distance, it looked just like an Azura from hell and gave off a shockingly baleful aura. He's already using the Azura body. Upon seeing this scene, the eyes of all the Shintuj clan disciples narrowed. They were very clear as to how tyrannical Shintuj's Azura body was. To have forced him to use this martial art so quickly, it seemed like Lindong was indeed difficult to deal with. You better display your body-enhancing martial art now. Or else, you'll die. Shintuj tilted his head and looked at Lindong. A cold look flitted across his glowing jet-black face, as he spoke with a grin. Azura body, huh? Since that is the case, then I'll have no choice but to use my full power. Lindong gazed at Shintuj, whose presence had abruptly turned extremely shocking, as his slender hand slowly clenched tightly. In the next instant, resplendent green light ferociously exploded from his body. Green Dragon Battle Armor. Green light surged, as a low and deep dragon roar abruptly rang out at this instant. Under the dragon roar, Lindong's ice-cold voice slowly echoed. As the dragon roar resounded, bright and resplendent green light suddenly exploded from Lindong's body. This only lasted for an instant, before rapidly withdrawing at the speed of lightning. In the end, it adhered to the surface of his body, green light circulating within it. Wide green dragon wings shot open on Lindong's back, like the sharp edges of a blade. Although the dragon wings were now smaller than they were previously, they were obviously more refined. Along the edges of the dragon wings were extremely sharp, and sawtooth-shaped, like the teeth of giant dragons. The dragon scale armor on Lindong's body was not as thick as before. Thin scale armor covered the entirety of his body. As it extended, it gave off a feeling of abundant power. This feeling made him feel as if every action he made possessed the strength of a giant dragon. As the dragon scales condensed on Lindong's arms and legs, some of them transformed into extremely sharp spikes, which were covered with serrated teeth. An aura that reeked of blood was faintly discernible as it radiated out. With a glance, one could tell that it possessed extremely astonishing killing power. The current form of Lindong's green heaven materialized dragon skill was even more agile and nimble when compared to before. At the same time, its ferocity and attacking power had also increased. Obviously, as he grew stronger, the might of the green heaven materialized dragon skill was gradually revealing itself bit by bit. Creak! Lindong's scale-covered hand slowly clenched, as the air within was squeezed till it exploded. The originally pitch-black eyes were now brimming with green glint, as a dragon occupied the depths of his pupils. Your body-enhancing martial art isn't bad. Shintuju's gaze revealed a strange light, as he observed Lindong's transformation. He was able to feel that the ferocity of Lindong's aura had instantly multiplied. Bang! Green light surged within Lindong's eyes as he watched Shintuj. In the next instant, he suddenly stepped forward. One could only hear the sound of air exploding, as a figure appeared in front of Shintuj in the blink of an eye. Subsequently, a simple yet violent fist rumbled out. Boom! The air in front was compressed to the point of exploding. Everyone could see faint distortions in the space where the fist had passed through. However, Shintuj merely grinned in the face of such violent fist winds, and showed no indications of retreating. A fist suffused with jet black light similarly rumbled out ferociously, smashing head-on against Lindong's fist. At the instant of collision, a piercing metallic sound immediately rang out. A circular wind ripple swept out, causing the air in 100 feet radius to instantaneously explode. After clashing directly against Lindong's fist, a battle-maniac smile appeared at the corners of Shintuju's mouth. With a hearty chuckle, two of his fingers curled, transforming into two jet-black rays. The rays tore through the air, lightning fast as they stabbed towards Lindong's eyes at an extremely crafty turning arc. Lindong's arm jerked. Sharp scale blades sparkled with green light as they raised up, blocking those two swift and fierce grey lights. Quickly after, his body leaned forward, as a flurry of fists were thrown. His assault poured out in torrents like a storm, enveloping Shintuj. Ha ha, delightful! In response to Lindong's ferocious onslaught, the fire in Shintuju's eyes burned with a greater fury, as he clenched his hands tightly into fists. Jet black light gushed out from all over his body, as he relied on his powerful physical body, and met Lindong head-on. Metallic sounds frantically erupted in the limestone square. Accompanying the sounds were waves of terrifying energy ripples. The violent power contained within these ripples caused several people's scalps to turn numb. They were truly somewhat unable to imagine that with just the power of their bodies, the two men in the square were able to reach such astonishing levels. He's actually able to contend with Shintuj to such a degree with just his physical body. At the Shintuj seats, as the Shintu clan members watched the two men duking it out in close physical combat, their gazes gradually turned grave. They were exceedingly clear about how tyrannical Shintuju's physical body was. However, Lindong was unexpectedly not inferior at all in this aspect. As the black-cloaked Shintu watched the two figures, who were locked in a violent exchange like to two ferocious lions, her expression started to change. Even she felt her heart thud in alarm at the low and deep sounds that rang out when a punch landed on a body. At the Gu clan area, Gu Shou, Gu Mengqi and the rest all had anxious faces, as they watched the two figures which were locked in combat. All of their eyes contained unconcealable graveness. The fight before them was really too ferocious. Compared to this, the fights yesterday seemed somewhat mundane. Elder Gu Shou, who has a higher chance of winning? Gu Yang could not help but ask. Gu Shou stared at the square and hesitated for a while, before shaking his head as he replied, Lindong's physical body is more tyrannical than I had thought. In this aspect, he's not inferior to Shintuj. However, the latter has yet to use his advantage. Gu Mengqi bit her red lips. Shintuj was a true blue advanced profound life stage expert, and his yuan power was definitely much more abundant than Lindong's. Currently, they were battling with just their physical bodies, and although Lindong was not losing out, once Shintuj regained his clarity from this battle rush, he would definitely choose to use his advantage. To use his vigorous yuan power to suppress Lindong. This was not a favorable battle. Bang! A fist brimming with jet black light violently slammed against Lindong's elbow. Upon landing, green light sparkled maniacally, continuously defending against the frightening force that was invaded. Minute-cracking noises rang out from Lindong's shoulder. Obviously, under Shintuj's ferocious force, the bones in his shoulder had been injured. At the same time, this force also sent Lindong flying backwards. However, just as Lindong's body flew backwards, his leg suddenly split apart the air. A sharp scale blade carried swift and fierce green light, and slashed past Shintuju's chest at an astonishing speed. As the green light swept past, the clothes on Shintuju's chest were slashed apart. A glaring wound appeared on the chest that was radiating with jet black light. Bang! Lindong's feet pushed off on empty air, as his body hovered in the air. At this time, many of the green dragon scales that covered his entire body were already broken, and there were even faint traces of blood. Naturally, there were also quite a few wounds on the Shintuju's body, which was suffused with jet black light. It was evident that the two had been truly engaged in an extremely vicious and cruel bare-bodied battle. Due to this bare-bodied battle, several wounds had appeared on both of their bodies. Around the square, everyone was inwardly speechless when they saw the two's appearances. They were very clear that if a normal peak initial profound life stage expert were to substitute for either of the two, that unlucky fellow would have already been directly beaten into meat paste. Being able to withstand such terrifying force and not be killed, perhaps only the two monsters in the square could do such a thing. Shintuj used his hand to feel the wound on his chest, before smearing the fresh blood on his lips. The dark red color made him seem even more fiendish. His chest gently raised and fell. From the looks of it, the slightly crazed combat session earlier had also consumed quite a bit of his strength. Being able to force me to this state with just your physical body, even those two fellows are unable to do so. Shintuj raised his head and stared at Lindong with eyes brimming with jet black light. Soon after, he grinned, revealing his sinisterly white teeth, which were smudged with blood, making him look exceedingly terrifying. Lindong took a deep breath. Green light frantically rushed about his body, continuously repairing the internal wounds caused by the force of Shintuju's blows. His gaze was exceeding grave. Shintuju's physical body was the strongest he had seen within the younger generation. This was also the first time he had encountered someone that could compete with him, who had trained in the Green Heaven materialized dragon skill, in terms of physical prowess. No wonder why you could defeat the Weijin trio. Compared to you, they are indeed wastrels. A smile was still present on Shintuju's face. However, the bloodthirsty glint in his eyes had slowly disappeared. Following its disappearance, Lindong's eyes faintly narrowed. He could feel exceedingly dangerous fluctuations radiating from within Shintuju's body. A man who only knew how to rely on brute force was not frightening. What was truly frightening was a man who was able to perfectly display such power. The current Shintuj had clearly started to recover from his previously barbaric state. This warm-up should be enough. I've heard that you used a single move to defeat the Weijin trio yesterday, now, I'll do the same. Shintuj chuckled. Next, monstrous jet black light maniacally swept out from his body like a storm. Instantly, this stretch of world turned dark and gloomy, as a baleful aura quietly spread. Jet black light filled the area, as Shintuj slowly extended his hand. Pointing it towards Lindong, he suddenly clenched his fist and swung it downwards. At the same time, a low hoarse voice, carrying with it a baleful aura that blotted the sky, swept out from his mouth. Azura earthly demonic prison. This video will end here.